Hi everyone, I'm Tash, VP of Customer Growth at Hook, and today I'm interviewing the wonderful CSM of the Year winner from the US Customer Growth Awards, Tenley Parr. Tenley, thanks so much for joining me and huge congratulations. How did it feel?
Well, thank you for having me. It felt great. I was so honored to be recognized amongst a really great group of folks, not only in the customer success realm of category, but just holistically. There was a lot of great people in that room and in
Oh,
the nominations. And so just really, really honored to be nominated, let alone win. So thanks for having me.
bless you. Well, we are absolutely thrilled for you. Maybe tell us a little bit about your role right now.
Yeah, so I'm a lead customer success manager at Superhuman, formerly known as Grammarly. So we just went through a rebrand, which Grammarly still exists, but Superhuman is kind of the new, broader name that we are using to encompass our full suite of products. So as a lead customer success manager, I manage over 100 customers in our commercial space. I have
Yes.
a really wide range of not only types of customers. We don't segment based on industry, so I kind of touch all different ones. The only industry we segment out is education. That we have a whole different line of business for that, as our product kind of is split into two. But yeah, so I have over 100 customers, and my role is really just to make sure that I am
Amazing.
ensuring they are utilizing the tool in the way it should, best practice, making sure I'm meeting their individual KPIs, what's important to them, meeting them where they are. As we know, some folks need a bit more handholding and love, and others can kind of are a little bit more turnkey. So really customizing the experience based on the customer themselves.
Nice. Well, you've started to talk about it a little bit, but I'm interested in knowing a bit more about your style of CS. Like how do you like to operate as a CSM? Because it can be so different, CSM to CSM, business to business. Tell us a little bit about you and how you like to operate.
Yeah, I think that's a great question because I think the answer is that there is no one size fits all approach in general. I really customize my experience with each customer based on the signals I'm getting from them and what their needs are. So I if it were up to me with every customer, I would be super deep in the customer, having a great stakeholder who I understand every single one of their KPIs, knowing what they're driving, what their larger business initiatives are, and then making sure that we're fitting the tool into that. But as we all know, we aren't always getting that level of detail or that champion to be as engaged as we want them to. So a lot of times it's really just basing my engagements with the customer based on what they need. And my goal with all of my customers is just to make sure the time I'm spending with them is valuable to them. I
Mm.
never ever want to be a time suck for them. I don't want to be taking their times for meetings or for account reviews if that's not something that's important to them. For those folks, I'm meeting them where they are and doing a quick turnaround on some ROI stats, making sure that I'm still making it known that me and our product are valuable to their business, but
Mm.
again, meeting them where they are. That also always signals to me that I probably need to find someone else in the organization that can be a little bit more engaged. Like those are always
Right.
good signals of, you know, some of these relationships are so deep and I'm so in the weeds of, how we're accomplishing what we need to. But for others, it's, if I'm getting that signal, it just tells me like we need to find someone else who I can really connect with and make sure that I'm doing really good work and showing value to them.
And you've talked a good bit about value, which I absolutely love. So, value, return on investment, understanding their KPIs and what's important to them and what we've got to deliver on. A big part of the type of CS that we like to run here at Huck and how I like to operate. What's interesting, I think, in terms of like debate in the community right now is how do you show value at scale? You've got 100 customers. I don't expect you to have a silver bullet or to have the answer to this, but like, what are the things that you do to help you show value to as many customers as you possibly can?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And it's one that the answer 6 months ago looks different than the answer today because of the
Mm.
evolution of the technologies that we're using. I think Hook is a really good example of one that has evolved just really quickly. And it's a good kind of macro view of like what's happening with all of our platforms, which is we have such great opportunity to dig into insights in a really easy way. Like Hook Echo is a good example of if I just need quick, highlights of what's going well, or what are areas of opportunity, or where do I need to be spending my focus. That's something that not only with Hook, but also with we have NetSpring dashboards. We use our Superhuman Go, which is our AI assistant. I'll say like,
Amazing.
read this dashboard, give me 3 highlights as I prepare for their renewal. Read this dashboard and send me 3 areas of opportunity that I can focus on for this account review. So really leveraging different tools that's the only way I can scale 100 plus customers. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
way I can be as deep as I want to be in every single account just because of the volume that we have here. So I think that that is a space that's really, really evolving. And it's making sure that I'm communicating with my customers in a regular cadence. And that's an at scale. Like, are there releases that are coming out that I can make sure that I'm touching on? Are
Mm.
there roadmap announcements that I know that certain number of my customers are going to be interested in? Like, just finding those touch points that make sense, that are of value to that specific customer, but also doing it in the larger scale when it makes sense to do so.
I love that. And I love that you've touched on the scale piece. I was having a conversation also on the podcast with Dan Ennis. I don't know if you met him on the night. He won the Digital Champion of the Year award, and he runs a commercial CS organization. He also runs the scale piece. And we were talking about the value of a CSM who has their own book of business, whether you call it a own CSM, a named CSM, a dedicated CSM, leveraging scale, leveraging some of the things that folks in digital CS teams are doing and applying it to their book of business because it just helps you do more with less, right?
I think I do. I think you have to right now. Like, even if you have 20 customers, you still need to scale things.
Yes.
Like, we are in this time of automation. And while automation can feel maybe less intentional, I don't think I think we're at this space that we can make these scaled reach outs or scaled motions hyper personalized, but still
I
automated,
agree.
or, working a lot smarter rather than harder. We just have so many tools at our disposal. And I think it's a really interesting time because, as I said, over the past 6 months, every single tool has come out with some new ability to like gather insights and, optimize the way that you're using it and whatever. And I think that that has been amazing, right? Like, there is like
Yeah.
this incredible way that you can tap into, but that takes mind share too. And so it's kind of figuring out like, what do I use each tool for and when do I
Mm,
use it? And then getting into that groove, because there is a lot of noise right now in this space. I mean, even as a product, we're having these conversations with folks where it's like, we've invested in 20 different AI products. Like, how is yours different? So I think we're in this really interesting time of, there's so much noise out there. Figuring out what your motions are, how they impact your customers, how you can scale them in a way that is also efficient for you, because you can
mm.
spend your whole days getting lost in all the different products and all the different amazing things each product does. But figuring out what motions should I be paving the path with myself to make that muscle really strong? How are they impacting our customers? Starting to understand like the correlation between those two so that we can work a lot smarter. Because the tools are there for us. We just need to figure out what ones we should be using.
I think that that's a really good piece of advice for CSMs. Like, as you look at what you're doing day to day, think about which tool or which piece of AI or which piece of tech do I need to be using for which activity, because you're right. There's a lot out there. There's a lot that we could be doing. And I think it's very easy, especially right now, for us to get lost in the noise and all of the weeds. So I think that's really, really good advice. Any other tips and tricks for how you manage 100 customers? Like, how do you do that and manage your time well and make sure they all get a good experience?
I mean, I do have to give a really big shout out to our leadership team. My manager and my director both have a really good sense of like keeping us. I think it's, as individual contributors, it's very easy for us to be focused on the quarter, right? Like, you're focused and that's how
Mm,
we operate. But like, I'm focused on the quarter ahead of me. I have, 25 deals, let's say, that I'm going to make sure that are moving along the right way. That's, I think, where leadership comes in and is like, hey, lift your head up a little bit. What's coming next quarter? What about two
yeah.
quarters out? This looks like a problem. Like, I think also leveraging, as I said, tools like Hook is a really good example of like something proactively telling me, hey, you're not looking at this because it's 180 days out when you're dealing with a renewal that's 20 days out. You're not maybe focused on this, but I'm getting a signal that's letting me know occupancy
Yeah.
rates are dropping, or whatever the thing may be. So I think it's kind of a mix of having good leaders that are enabling their folks to do the work that we're here to do, which is to like maximize our opportunity with our customers, be deep in the relationship with them, renew them, making sure that they're finding good value in the product, all those things, but also keep us on track where we're able to lift our head up a little bit more, because naturally that's with the volume of customers, that's just not something we're able to do. And then
Yeah.
additionally, like leveraging tools that are giving us those signals of, this may not be your focus today, but it should be, or make sure you're like doing something this week. And what I love, Hook is a good example of it, but Echo telling me like, not only is this something that you should be aware of, but this is also what you should do. So it's like, this is a
Yeah.
concern, but this is a recommended action that you could take from it. So I think that Echo's doing a really good job of that today. I think that there's like a lot that can come as we continue to scale out these motions and like we see what works. The data is only going to get stronger in how we correlate suggestions to actions and what the outcomes like continue to be.
Mhm.
But that's something that I think that as we all rely on both leadership and tools, those two things help me be accountable to scaling out a really big book as opposed to just focused on what's in front of me.
I love it. I massively appreciate the hook shout out, and that is music to my ears because that's exactly what we want to do. We want to be able to say, hey, you're focused on this, but here's something that you've not quite caught. So I love that. And I know your leadership team, and so I echo the sentiments. You've got a good crew over there. I want to change tact a tiny bit and bring us back to this value conversation because it is so important. And I want your opinion on something. I posted today about the QBR because I'm seeing so much online about QBRs are dead and they're terrible and we should never do them. And I'm interested in your take. Do you run a QBR with your customers? What's your 10 cents on the matter and whether this holds value?
As my answer is with probably everything is it depends. Like if that
Yeah.
doesn't meet your customer where they are, then I don't think it's valuable. I think that the only thing that holds value to the customer is if you're speaking their language. And if a QBR feels like this pre-built slide deck that you're plugging in numbers and then you're presenting it to them and there's no
Yeah.
conversation, then yeah, I don't think it is overly valuable. I think that there needs to be a lot of flexibility within the CS space of what is authentic to the customer and also what's authentic to you. I
Mm,
trust myself as an expert in meeting my customers where they are. Like, I think that I have a lot of hard skills that I've learned, but it's a lot of also like EQ of like understanding how are the conversations going? What are the vibes? What have they said that's important to them? Are they being dismissive? I don't want to hold someone hostage on a call for 30 minutes if that's not something that they
yeah.
find to them.
None of us do. Yeah.
No, because also then when I'm asking for their time the next time, they're not going to book a meeting with me. So I'm always thinking about meetings I'm having of like, is this going to provide enough value that they're going to want to meet with me again? So I'm always kind of
Yes.
thinking about like the next time or like, are they going to be inclined to answer my email or pick up the phone if I call? Like, I really want to build that relationship. So I
Mm,
think going back to the question, there is definitely value in QBRs and account reviews, but I don't think they should be an out of the box slide deck that you're just plugging in numbers, because what some customers want 20 slides and really deep data information, others
yeah.
might want an overview of like, here are three things that are going well, here are two areas of opportunity, here are our next steps. Like, it's just
Yeah.
going to be meeting people where they are. So I think that at
Totally.
the end of the day, meeting your customers, having those conversations is extremely important. It's just how you go about it is going to be based on like, that's why I do believe this role won't be replaced with robots, because like we are the people who understand how to meet our customers where they are.
I love it. Won't be replaced with robots. And we're going to come back to that. You said a few things there that were really important. And I agree with you, by the way. I love a QBR, but not when it's just rinse and repeat of the same 20 slides and it's not talking to value of the customer. I think you've a really nice like sense and focus on what's important to the customer and how do I just show them that we're doing that or we've done that or how do I get buy-in to go and do that? And that's the important activity here. You said something really interesting, which was how do I, like, before I'm going onto a call, how do I understand the piece of value that I need to give that's going to make them want to meet with me again? And I don't think enough CSMs are thinking like that. So I think that's a really, really important tip to take away. I used to also give myself a what's the outcome I can't leave this call without.
Mhm.
And it could be like getting the customer's buy-in to go do that thing or getting their buy-in to show their value metrics on their side because maybe I can't report on that. And so I think that's a really nice mindset of like when do I go into a meeting, what's the one piece of value I'm going to deliver at least, and what's the one outcome I want to come out of. So wicked smart on your part. You touched a little bit on like the future of CS, and I don't think CSMs will all be replaced by robots. I'm with you. What else do you think is there in the future for CS? What else do you think is going to change in the next like short or long term for us as an industry?
I think that, I mean, I don't think we'll be replaced by robots because I think that we as CS folks, leaders, et cetera, have that unteachable skill of like high EQ. I think that's what makes a good CSM or a CSM a great CSM. Um, I do think though that there are many tools, aka robots, that are going to do a lot of the work for us. So I think it really goes back to that scaling motion of like if you're not leaning into these tools that can provide that value, you will be left behind. Like there are
Yes.
so many things out there that like just can make us more efficient to do the good work that we were hired to do.
Yeah.
There are so many things that the robots can spit out. Like they can spit out highlights and insights and data and whatever, but it's what we as people do to package those in
Yeah.
storytelling. And I think that that's like really something that gets lost in CS is like we are sellers. Like we truly are sellers just as much as an AE. It may not be a
Yes.
neat logo, but like we are sellers. And so a lot of selling is storytelling. So whatever you just mentioned it, but like what's the outcome of the call and working backwards off that? And how are you storytelling around that outcome that you're looking for with
Yeah.
the data that you have available to you? So working backwards and saying like, I want to increase their price, because they're under market right now or whatever it may be. And then the call is saying like, hey, these are the great metrics that we have. Here's the ROI. Here's how your folks are using it. This is where it's impacting your business. This is actually the cost that you've been saving based on using this tool. And then you're going into what your outcome is. But it's like
Yes.
us as the people to work backwards on that storytelling and make sure we're packaging it in a way that the ask feels really organic as opposed to it just being more transactional. So I think that that's
Love
where
it.
robots can't do that today. I hope they can't do it in the future, but I'm really hopeful that that's the thing that keeps us, valuable is the human connection part of it.
I agree. I love that we're just using this term robots so flippantly for tech and AI and agents and all that good stuff. But I totally agree. I think we talk about that a lot as a business. Yes, there's a possibility of like fully automating what CSMs could do, but that works where you've got your long tail or your digital or your scaled CS base, right? Where you don't have the opportunity to apply a human to every single account. And so it's like, of course, you can add value by leveraging automations and AI and tech. But
Sure.
actually, when it comes to a CSM being on the account, the idea is that the tech can do all of the busy work, all of that hard graft to free you up with the time to go do the stuff that really only CSMs can do and really only people can do. And so I think you put that perfectly.
Yeah, for sure.
Tenley, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for spending time with us. You've given lots of good nuggets for the listeners and for the community, and massive congratulations again for winning the award. It was very well deserved.
Well, thanks for the easy conversation and appreciate the time.